Good morning. Today's daf is daf lamed tes. We are going to begin with the Mishnah and daf lamed tes and aleph. The Mishnah says, "Sher shall pikeach shenagach sher shall cheresh shrita v'katan." If you have a sher who belonged to a competent person, and this sher gored the ox either of a shrita, a cheresh, which is somebody who can't hear, or a shrita, or somebody who's a shaita or a katan. So all these three categories are considered halachically, they're not competent. So therefore, nevertheless, even though the shir shel pikeach gored the shir of cheresh shaita v'katan, nevertheless, chayiv, the owner of the ox will be chayiv. However, v'shel cheresh shaita v'katan shenagach shir shel pikeach, if the ox of a cheresh shaita v'katan gored the ox of a pikeach, so pater, it's pater. Next case, sher shel cheresh shaita v'katan shenagach. Now, if an ox belonging to a cheresh shaita v'katan did gore, so the halacha is based in ma'amidim lahem apitropos. So if it gored and it damaged another ox, so the Beis Din has to point an apitropos for them. Based in ma'amidim lahem apitropos, or me'idin lahem b'fnei apitropos, and they are warned with regards to an ox that's gored in the presence of a apitropos. So basically, once the Beis Din is mamid lahem apitropos, so now this ox is considered a muad, since the apitropos is considered the owner with regards to re'eu, that they have to, the warning has to be given to its owners. So again, a shir shel cheresh shaita v'katan that gored and caused damage. So now Beis Din puts an apitropos, and they warn the apitropos, or they warn the yisem in front of apitropos, and now if it gores more than 3 times, it becomes a muad. Now the question is, nispakach acheresh, what happens if the ox that became a muad? So what ox are we talking about? We're talking about this ox that belonged to a cheresh shaita v'katan. The Beis Din put this apitropos, and it became a muad. So what happened if nispakach acheresh? Now the deaf mute regained his hearing, or nishtapa asheita v'higdal katan, or let's say the shaita became normal again, or the katan. A very common case, the minor now becomes mature, it becomes over bar mitzvah. The halacha is chazer l'tamosei. The ox now becomes back a tam. Why? Because it's meshana the reshus. So that's one of the dinim, is that once the shir is meshana the reshus, it reverts back to being a tam. So since this cheresh became normal now again, or the shaita, or I should say, he could hear again, or the shaita became normal, or the katan now became bar mitzvah, so now the shir is in the reshus, so it's chazer l'tamosei. It gets reinstated, it reverts. These are the words of Rabbi, again, because he holds that the ox is a muad. Once it's under new custody, it's under new reshus, it goes back to the reshus. Rabbi says, no, it retains its previous status of being a muad. Next case, last case, sher ha each stodin. If you have, let's say, a ox, it's called a stadium ox. In other words, one that's trained to fight in a stadium. So this ox gores and kills a person. So the halacha is, ein chay misa. The owner is not chayav for misa. Why shenera? Because it says, ki gach, if an ox gores a man or a woman, which is referring only if an ox that gores on its own initiative, v'loi shiashkichu, but not in the case of an ox where others induced it to gore. So therefore, the owner of a stadium ox, which is trained to gore, is pater from, it's a machlekes, it's pater if it kills, but the question is if it damages, if it's chayav or not, so that's what they're already machlekes to shenim. Fine, so just to be kitcha the Mishnah, we had a few dinim over here. Number one, a share of a normal guy that owns a share damages a cheresh shaita v'katan, the din is it will be chayav. The opposite, a share of a cheresh shaita v'katan that damages a pikeach will be pater. if a cheresh shita v'katan ox does gore, so the halacha is we put an apitrapus, and the apitrapus is warned, and it can become a wood. If afterwards nispaka hacheresh, or let's say the shita became normal, or higdal hakatan, so the halacha is it goes back to being a tam because it's under new custody. However, Rabbi says no, it's still a chazaka that it's the same ox, it's the same tendencies, and therefore it's still considered a muad. The case is about a ox of a stadium ox, if it's not chayav misa, because the Torah says if an ox gores, and not that it's induced to gore, it's trained to gore. So therefore, according to him, a stadium ox, which is trained to gore, would be potter. So now the Gemara says, Ho gufa kasha, the Mishnah itself is very difficult. Why? Because Amris in the Mishnah, it says in the beginning, Sher shel cheresh sheta v'katan, shenagach sher shel pikeach, it says of an ox of a deaf mute. Sheta v'katan gores. A competent person, so the owner is potter from liability. Why? So Alma, what do we see from the first part of the Mishnah? Ein ma'amidin apitrapus latam. Apparently, the Beis Din does not appoint an apitrapus for the owner of a tam, for the purpose of collecting damages from the proceeds of the sale of its body. As we know, that a share that damages the first 3 times, and let's say causes damage, or kills somebody, so the din is you have to sell the share shamazik, you have to sell the share that damaged, and he has to pay up to there chatzi gufa. But it's capped at migufa, it's capped at the proceeds of the sale of its body. So, if we're saying is potter, why is it? So what do we see from here? We see that we don't put, if there would be an apitrapus, so why would the guy be potter? Let the pikeach now collect the gufa of the shade. So the fact that he sees his potter says that we don't put an apitrapus. Then the Gemara Mishnah says, let's look at the latter clause of the Mishnah. If a share of a cheresh sheta v'katan did gore, so what's the din? Beis Din ma'amid lahem apitrapus. Beis Din does put an apitrapus, and what does the Mishnah say? Umi idin lahem b'fnei apitrapus. And not only that, but the Beis Din now appoints a apitrapus for them and warns them with regards to an ox that gores in the presence of the apitrapus. So what do we see from the next part of the Mishnah? Alma ma'amid lahem apitrapus latam. Apparently, the Beis Din does appoint an apitrapus for the owner of a tam, for the purpose of collecting damages from its body. So it's mamash astira. So Rabbi says like this: Hachi ktani. This is what the Mishnah is teaching. Now, a apitrapus is not appointed to enable collection of compensation from the bodies of a tam. However, if they have acquired a reputation of goring, so it wasn't just a one-time isolated incident. So then, the Beis Din appoints as a apitrapus for the owners, and warns them in the presence of the apitrapus, and thereby renders the muad, renders the ox a muad. So that when one of the oxen gores again, so then Mishalam Aliyah, the owner will be chayav to pay the compensation not from the tam, but not from the gufa, but from the superior quality property, and not only from the proceeds of the sale of the goring ox. So that's how it tightens up the Mishnah. When we learned in the Mishnah of Shershel Pikeach Shenagah Shershel, the opposite Cheresh Sheta v'katan Shenagah Shershel Pikeach this potter, that's talk that yes, we don't put an apitrapus, but if this Cheresh Sheta v'katan now becomes habitually goring, it becomes a custom, then ma'amidim apitrapus to make them a muad, and if it does, then they have to pay from the aliyah. So from whose superior quality property is compensation collected for bad damage caused by this ox, which is forewarned belonging to the miners? Because on one hand you could say it's the miner's ox, it's the katan's ox. On the other hand, it's the apitrapus who takes achrayus. So, Neyev Machlekes. Rabbi Yechon says, Ma'aliyas Yisemim, from the superior quality property of the orphans of the Yisemim. Makes a lot of sense, because it's the Yisemim's ox. Rabbi Bar Chanina says, Ma'aliyas Apitrapus, no, from the superior quality property of the Apitrapus. So, Machlekes between Rabbi Yechon and Rabbi Chanina. Ask the Gemara, Omi Om Rabbi Yechon, but the Rabbi Yechon actually say this? Did he actually say that you take it from Aliyas Yisemim? But Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Ravasi that Ein Niskakin the Nichsi Yisemim. The Beis Din does not attend to the property of the orphans to have them pay a choiv of their father. So let's say their father took a choiv, Ein Niskakin the Nichsi Yisemim, we don't make the Yisemim pay for it, Elim Kevi B'Sichelas Ben, unless interest is like destroying the estate. In other words, in a case where the Yisemim's father borrowed money from a goy with ribis, with interest, so the Beis Din ensures that the chayiv is paid from the orphan's property. Why? Because if they're going to wait to pay the chayiv, then the interest will grow dramatically. So apparently, in other cases, the Beis Din does not collect from the property. So how could Rabbi Yehuda say Maliyas Yisemim if it damages the chayra? We never collect from the Yisemim only in the case of the goy that ribis is chelas ben. So the Gemara says Rabbi Yehuda says oy l'shtar sheish b'ribis. The Beis Din collects from them either to pay the choiv recorded in the document that has the payment of interest b'tanai, in order to ensure that the interest does not diminish the value of their estate, or for the payment of a woman's ksuba due to the interest in not paying for her sustenance. In other words, an almana can claim her ksuba from her deceased husband's property as long as she does not receive it. Her husband's yorshim are responsible for providing her nuzanis. In a case where the Yisemim now are minors, so the Beis Din collects payment from the ksuba from the orphan's property, so that they will not have to pay her for her sustenance in the interim. So Rabbi Yehuda holds that with the exception of these two cases, the Beis Din does not collect the chayim from the property of orphans. So again, Rabbi Yehuda holds only in the case of shtar sheish b'ribis, or, as we just learned, or ksubas isha mishul zayna. But in other cases, he does not hold this. So right there, the question is, how can you say over here that in our case of the sheish nagach, we collect from Aliyas Yisemim, he only holds in these two cases. So the answer is Epoch. You have to reverse the opinions. Rabbi Yehuda Amar Aliyas Apitropen. Rabbi Yehuda is the one who says the payment for the damage caused by the ox, which is a mued, we get from the apitropsin, from the apitropus. And Rabbi Yehuda Amar Aliyas Yisemim. No, you collect it from the superior quality of the orphans. So who answered that? That's the Gemara. So Rava says, Mishum the Kasha the Beichlan, Mashras Lid the Beis of Rabbi Taya. So he says, due to the difficulty created by the stira of Rabbi Yehuda here in the statement of Rabbi Yehuda there, you making now a mistake in Rabbi Yehuda by saying an opinion that's not halachically factual. But Rabbi Yehuda Dayano. Rabbi Yehuda was a very expert dayan, and he delved into the complexities of the halacha. So by you backing up Rabbi Yehuda or saying Epoch, you're messing up Rabbi Yehuda. So Mar says, but rather you can resolve the contradiction in another way and do not reverse the opinions. Now, so how do you answer it? So he says, the Mar says, Umazik Shani, the way to answer the stira is that although Rabbi Yehuda holds that a chuyiv are not collected from the property of Yisemim, halacha was with regards to mazik, one who causes damage by another by not guarding it is different. Now, Rabbi Yehuda Amar Maliyas Yisemim. Rabbi Yehuda says that the compensation is collected from the superior quality property of the orphans. The Amras Maliyas Apitropus, because if you see that it should be collected from the superior quality property of the Apitropus, then people will refrain from becoming a Apitropus, because they're going to say, why should I incur a financial loss by having to pay the damage caused by the orphan's animal? And Rabbi Yehuda Amar Maliyas Apitropus. Rabbi Yehuda says that it's collected from the apitropus, and then so why is there no concern? Because there's no concern that people will refrain from becoming apitropus because they're going to put a lien and they're going to pay for if they pay from the orphan if they pay the orphan's mess up, they're going to be repaid by the orphans when they grow up. Okay. The Gemara says and the matter of whether or not the Beis Din appoints a apitropus for this halachically incompetent owner of the tam for the purpose of collecting damage by MS, you should know Tanoi, it's a machlekes tanoim. How do you see that? The Tanya we learned in a brisa. With regards to an ox whose owners became a deaf mute, B'nishtatu b'alav, or his owners became now shaitim, Shahocha b'alas with the balam limdin as a yam, or his owners went overseas. So if the ox bores, Yehuda ben Nekaisa Amar Sumchas Harihu B'tam Wasachi Deleb B'fnei Bailim. Yehuda says that Simcha said it retains the status of a tam until the Beis Din renders a mu'id in the presence of the owner. Chacham Ma'imrim and the Chacham say, Ma'amid Lehem Apitropen. The Beis Din appoints apitropos for them. And we make them, we make a mu'id in the presence of the apitropos. In other words, Chacham say we're not going to wait till the owner comes back normal or the owner comes back from Medina Sayyam. Right away, we're going to appoint an apitropos. Now, if let's say the cheresh now becomes here again, or the shaitan now becomes normal again, or v'higdal katan, or the third, fourth case of ba'alam Medina Sayyam, so then it would have been the case of Amar Sumchas Chazal Tamuse. It reverts back to this is the tam until the ox, until it's rendered more than the presence of the owner. BC says no. It retains the status of being forewarned. Now, Amaru, the Chacham said, "My Ariu b'tamus the Kamar Sumchas." What does Sumchas mean by saying it retains the status of a tam? If you see that it means that it's not rendered amur at all, it's considered a tam. From the fact that Sumchas himself teaches the latter clause of the Brisa that the ox has reverted to its previous case, michlal diyoid. So it's by inference that previously it was rendered. It was we're talking about imud. Ella my harihu b'tamusi. What does Simchas mean by saying it retains the status of a tam? Harihu b'tamusi, he means that it retains its completeness. The loy mechasrinan late. We do not reduce its owner's share of it by collecting compensation from the sale of the body. Rather, the nizek must wait until the owner becomes either competent or returns. So Alma, what do we see from here? Apparently the Beis Din does not appoint a apitropos for the owners of the tam to enable the injured party to collect damage from this body. The Chacham disagree with Sumchas. They say we do appoint a apitropos for the owner, and we warn in front of the apitropos. Alma, what do you say for her? No, we do appoint a apitropos in order to for the owner of the tam in order to enable the nizek to collect damage from its body. Umar asks, "Was safe of my comifli?" And the latter clause of the Brisa, with what principle do they disagree? So the Umar answers, "With a shus mishana ikabinayu." The difference is with regards to a change of custody. Does the change of custody change the status of the ox? Sumcha holds that rishus mishana, that a change of custody does change the status of the ox. Rabbi says, the custody does not change. Rather, it's determined by the action of the ox itself, and therefore, regardless of the custody. With regards to an ox that belonged to Chereshet V'Katan, the Allah is Rabbi Yaakov pays half the cost of the. That's what it says. Rabbi Yaakov pays half of the damage. What did Rabbi Yaakov do that he should pay half the damage? Rather, you have to say, Rabbi Yaakov says he pays half of the damage. So the said, what are we doing with her? If we're talking about a share which is a tam shita, it's obvious. The kula alma chanami chatzinezek kudu. Everyone else holds that one pays half the damage caused by their ox that gored. So what's the chiddush of Rabbi Yaakov? Even more than if it's with regard to a mu'id, so he abdul in the shmira. So if it's with regard to an ox which is a mu'id, is unclear why the owner pays only half the damage. If it's a case where he provided proper, adequate safeguarding, so then he's not required to pay it at all. And if it's a case where he did not provide adequate shmira, so he's required to pay the entire cost of the damage. So why does he only pay a chatzinez? If he guarded it properly, then he's worth nothing. And if he didn't guard it properly, I'm sorry, if it's a tam, obviously. If it's a mu'id, so if he guarded it properly, then he shouldn't have to pay at all. And if he guarded it properly, he didn't guard it properly, so then he has to pay, and as it fell, and while the chatzinez. So Rabbi says, actually, Rabbi Yaakov is talking about a case of a share which is a mu'id. What are we doing with there? The of the shmira pechusa, where we're dealing with a case where we provided a reduced safeguarding of the Shmira Mula and did not provide a superior safeguarding for it. Rabbi Yaakov holds the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. The Amar, he says like this: Tzad Tamos became Medes. He says that when an ox becomes a mu'id, for the chiyuv for its element of being a tam remains in place. In other words, with regard to the chatzin nezek, is treated like a tam, and is treated as a mu'id only with regard to the half of the damages. Therefore, half the cost of the damage is still collected from the proceeds of the sale of the body. And furthermore, with regard to the other issue of Rabbi Yaakov, he holds with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, the Amar who says that although you need to have superior shmira is necessary by a tam, but shmira pechusa is sufficient for a mu'id. So one who safeguards his mu'id animal in this manner is patur from paying the additional half of that he would have to pay due to the fact of the mu'id. He's high with respect to the half that he pays due to the remaining element of being a tam. Now, Sover law Rabbi Yaakov holds it according to the opinion of the Chacham. The Amri will say, he says that the Beis Din appoints a apitrapos for the owner of the tam to enable the injured party to collect damages from the body. Therefore, Rabbi Yaakov rules, in the case of the brisa, where a mu'id is owned by a cheresh of a katan, so half the cost of damage must be paid by the goof of the behema. So Amalei Abaye v'lei pligi, and so Rabbi says, so Abaye says, but did Rabbi Yehuda Yaakov not disagree with regard to this matter? But time we learned, when you have a share of a cheresh of a katan on board, Rabbi Yaakov mechai, Rabbi Yaakov and merchatzin ezek l'mishalim. So you see clearly that the an Amar Mash mechai Rabbi Yehuda pinish Rabbi Yaakov. Rabbi says there's no disagreement here because Rabbi Yaakov doesn't explain what Rabbi Yehuda deems him chayav to pay. So the Gemara asks, "Will Abaye davar pligi b'may pligi?" According to Abaye, who says that Rabbi Yaakov and Rabbi Yehuda disagree with regards to what principle they disagree. So the Gemara answers that Abaye will tell you, what are we dealing with here? Mu'id, we're talking about dealing with a animal which is a mu'id, but lo yinatre klal, and the owner did not guard it at all. So he's chayav when as a shalom. Now, Rabbi Yaakov sold up Rabbi Yehuda b'chada, or pligala b'chada. Rabbi Yaakov holds it according to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda with regard to one issue, and disagrees with regards to the other issue. Some Rabbi Yehuda b'chada, he holds it according to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Either Rabbi Yehuda saw, Rabbi Yehuda holds sad tamus became medes. Rabbi Yehuda holds that the ox is rendered a mu'id. Its element of a tam remains in its place, and Rabbi Yaakov agrees. And he disagrees with one of the issues. The either Rabbi Yehuda saw, Rabbi Yehuda holds. Rabbi Yehuda holds that the court appoints apitrapos for the owner of the tam to enable the nizik to collect damage from its body. Rabbi Yaakov Samar, Rabbi Yaakov holds that a ma'amidin. The Beis Din does not appoint a apitrapos, well, mishalom el paga the mu'id. So, and he pays only half the damage he's chayav to pay due to it being a mu'id. Other Racha bar Abaye l'Ravina, he says it was Mishnah Abaye Domer pligi shaper. Male, according to him, that they say he holds they disagree. Okay, but according to Rabbi, he holds that they don't disagree. So, Adam Moikila b'mu'id, instead of the brisa referring to a case of a mu'id, nikmei b'tam, he should have interpreted referring to a tam. Now, so the Gemara, so there are two basically cases in which the brisa can be interpreted as referring to a tam. Either Rabbi Yehuda, if one interprets it according to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, so it can be discussing a case where he provided a shmira pechusa, but he didn't do a superior safeguarding. If he wants, he can interpret it according to the opinion of Rabbi Lazar, who holds that he did not provide a safeguarding at all. Tanya, we learned of Lazar Yaakov Eimer, echad tam ve'echad mu'id sheshmura shmira pechusa. Doesn't matter what the status is, it'll be p'tur. Bava Kamah Daf. It teaches us according to Yaakov, and the Beis Din will appoint an apitrapos for a tam to enable the injured party to collect the damages from the proceeds of the sale of its body. So Amalei Ravina said to him, he said to him that this is what Rabbi was saying by interpreting Rabbi Yaakov's statement with regards to the ox. Rabbi Yaakov stated one matter containing two elements of reasoning. In accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda's opinion, that a ox which is a mu'id retains its element of a tam, and that reduced safeguarding is sufficient for a share which is a mu'id. Last thing, Ravina says, the the practical difference between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Akiva is with regards to the change of custody, change the status of the ox. If you're going to have a wood, for example, the case where the ox was a wood, and when the spakeach hacherish when the shtap hashet v'igol kota, they all change. Rabbi Yehuda sover haru b'chaskosei, it's still chazaka, and Rabbi Akiva sover reshus mashan, and Rabbi Akiva holds no, the custody changes the ox, and it reverts it back to the tam, so the owner only pays a chatzi nezek. Okay, have a good day.